DRX. And I think for Damwon Kia here, you probably just lock up the Renekton one final time. Bigger question is what DRX will remove. Because an Ezreal ban here feels pretty strong. They're actually the ones to ban the Renekton. I'm not a huge fan of that. With Showmaker only really showing us Ezreal and like somewhat of a okay Kalista, right? That game was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
I would rather play against Showmaker's Kalista than play against his Ezreal right now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think Ezreal, he's at a spot where he is pretty strong, but specifically in this game, I wouldn't mind it, especially from the blue side. Banning out first pick Renekton doesn't feel great.
DRX have been so reliant on the Kench Varus that I really like the Tahm Kench ban. It removes the real strong viability of Jinx. Now, the Nocturne pick completely pivots DRX's whole style. They have not been playing this type of long-range dive engage. They've been playing counter compositions of that. We saw the Jinzhou Lulu, first used by them against Gen G. And Damwon Kia, even with the Ezreal left available, do not take it first here. And now DRX, they have the Nocturne, but they don't have any long-range follow-up just yet. I'd love to see, if you're going to pick the Ezreal, maybe even Ezreal Leona here. You have the Solar Flare to kind of follow up from range. You can deny that pick away because it's been strong with Rumble historically. So it's an option here, and it gives you a lot more flexibility for counter-picking in your last two spots because, you've locked up your bottom duo completely here if you do take that Leona pick.
Maybe they'll just go for the Yuumi themselves,
Yeah.
We saw what that can do, and you can also go onto the back of a Nocturne, maybe hop in there. Diana is something we saw totally ignored in the first game's draft, so that gets picked up, and now we're seeing Showmaker playing Kai'Sa. So that's going to be a first-time Kai'Sa coming out from him as the Ezreal was denied.
There's the Leona ban immediately. Do not want to deal with that. Not at all, especially with the Kai'Sa coming through. So I do like that removal. Diana and Nocturne together are a pretty strong duo because, in terms of team fights and 5v5s, because Nocturne can turn the lights out, it makes it a lot easier for Diana to actually get into position to use her ultimate and actually get those big group ups. And then Ezreal obviously can follow through. See more supports being taken away here. The Nautilus now removed. And for DRX, the really strong point here is that Nocturne can be both mid and top, so they still have a lot of flexibility in this. Obviously, Diana not flexible, but because in some Nocturne drafts you're like, could be jungle too, but not in this case. They're removing a lot of the long-range support engage potential with the Rakan and Leona bans here.
Yeah, and even DRX taking out a support ban as well with the Nautilus. Will we see a fourth one? Already Lulu, Tahm Kench, Karma. So many bans towards potential support picks.
You mentioned the Yuumi earlier for the Ezreal bot duo, and actually that's the only support duo DRX has played with Ezreal. They've only played Ezreal once. They did play it with the Yuumi, so that is kind of a callback. As this time the Rel will be locked in. It was hovered last game, and I mean Rel plus Equalizer plus set there's a lot of big wombo potential. Somewhat squishy.
Yeah. I don't think you want to play the Yuumi into that, so they're thinking about the Alistar, just the classic counter. Down on the bottom side, Ezreal, Alistar. It's not the most common lane we see, but with so many support bans and into the Rel, I do not mind it at all. It's got great follow-up and potential setup for the Wombo with the Diana.
The Hex Flash is still disabled, but that's not going to be too impactful in terms of what you're going to be able to do against the Rel defensively. Just headbutt every time she tries to crash down. Very common. Viego locked in here. There's a decent amount of good steals here with the Viego, but it's not, again, an amazing Viego comp by any means. Twisted Fate coming through. That means it's going to be Viego top, and, well, maybe not. If we're actually going to see a flex here.
Lee Sin.
Lee Sin coming through. That's going to be a lot more stable of a matchup, but not amazing either. So I'm curious where this goes because Rumble is probably still going to be jungle. Yeah, Canyon probably playing the Lee Sin mid into the Nocturne, Set playing into the Viego. Neither the Set or the Lee Sin love to really play into the Viego on the top side of the map.
It's Viego mid for Solka. that is coming in here.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of time if they wanted to mix it up, but
Doesn't look like it, so...
this is
Khan's like,
fighting.
well, I'll take my opportunity to not play against a Viego any time of the day.
I want to see Kenyon back on the Lee Sin, but not going to happen.
Not today.
The coach is exchanging bows more than once, showing a lot of respect, I suppose. That sign was like, bow fighting. This is we can't have a 4-game losing streak. Stop it. It's like very straightforward.
Well, Kingen will be on the top side of the map. We know Soka is going to be able to, do a decent amount in the mid lane in either matchup, right? He's got a lot of poke with his Q. He's going to be able to poke through minions. Not a terrible matchup by any means. This comp has a lot of safety, but doesn't feel like, again, a composition that I trust that DRX can execute on based on what we saw in Game 1. Whereas you look at this lineup here, and it feels extremely meta, feels very foolproof. I mean, the only odd man out here is the Rel, right? Like, Barrel's playing a little bit of an off-meta champion, but it works so well with Equalizer, works so well with the set that, you got to trust it. If you're watching Damwon Kia here, I think you favor them.
It's definitely a comp that has a boatload of synergy, right? Somebody's going to hit something, and then we're all diving in. There's not a lot of range. There's not a lot of siege. But it doesn't really matter because you have so many options for engage that the world is your oyster. Especially if you're ahead, you find someone, you jump on them. And you're going to have all of your allies, all of your teammates just jumping in with you. So
it's also a great...
It kind of plays itself.
It's a great comp. Somewhat, if you think about how DRX engage, like, it's great defensively into that because you can, use the set facebreaker against, the aggressive dive you're going to see from DRX at range with, even the Viego trying to flank. It's very strong against that. It's a comp that kind of lets this long-range Nocturne engage into it very well because you're not trying to outpoke DRX's comp. You're going to be fighting this crazy brawl. And they're always going to be the ones engaging long range. Maybe DRX doesn't. Look
at the runes in this game. It's just 7 Conquerors. Why not? It's a great rune, as you guys can tell. It's very meta.
Yes. It has been for quite some time as well, but, it's very strong. It's not for every champion. I don't think it's, too broken or anything. I don't think it should be changed. I think it's really good for the game. I actually like what it does.
Yeah, no, it's a cool rune.
It rewards you for, aggressively fighting, which is fun.
Yeah. Definitely makes for some engaging lanes as well. Saw a lot of trading in the early game of Game 1 between Khan and Kingen. They could absolutely get into it up on the top side as well once again with 2 melee champions up there, 2 melee champions in the mid lane. Going to be banging heads together a lot here, you would imagine.
Canyon is actually just stomping all over Solka right now, which is not always how this matchup goes, like I was saying before. Again, a little bit of a worrying sign for Solka's. Beryl has not lost on this champion since her release. He's 8-0, but then again, take this stat with a bit of a grain of salt because Damwon Kia lost very few games in general throughout the regular season of spring.
Yeah, and this is only LCK as well, by the way, so... I don't have the stat in front of me, but I would imagine at least he would have dropped a game on Rel somewhere along the way since, in international competition.
Yeah, might even have a few extra wins from Kespo Cup in there or something too.
True. Actually, it's 12-0. Actually underselling it. But yeah, no, he's a great Rel player and certainly is very much in Beryl's wheelhouse. As we all know.
I mean, I like what you were saying earlier because the comp it works so well together, and that's terrifying when DRX couldn't pull that off last game, and DRX failed to actually fight against a team that's again swapping roles, and their coordination looked way better than a team that's been playing together on these roles all year long. I mean, this is the new DRX that we had low expectations for until spring, and then we raised them, and now they're kind of back down again. This is where people thought DRX was going to be when they saw their lineup, right? When Chovy was taken away, we had the whole roster swaps happen before the season.
Nosik's on vision here.
Yeah, he is.
I think he should be able to get away, but here comes the follow-up from Khan. Malrong is now going to be in vision, and DRX were like, why are you fighting us 1v2? Little did they know that the Rumble was here, and that is a 2-for-0 trade in favor of Damwon Kia, as both Khan and Malrong will benefit.
Yeah, this is pretty massive. I believe the first blood went to Malrong, but at the end of the day, it's pretty good for both of them, especially when you pick up 3 Dark Seal stacks from this early on too. And Solka is having a terrible time. Using your mist in mid lane is kind of often like that, where you just get the one little line. It's a little bit of a Nocturne queue.
Yeah.
Whereas on the side lanes, you have a lot more to work with. You know, when you're roaming bottom, you know, you'll be able to do a little bit more. You can close the gap down there faster. Or if you're solo laning top, you know, you can work around a lot of the terrain. But in mid lane, you know, it's a little bit tougher. As, again, he sees, I believe this is on his vision only. He sees, it's from his first person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, well, you're coming in, so I'm just going to go for this. And, like, they just had no idea, I guess. And there's a loud con scream for you. Rip headphone
I should have prepped myself.
Sorry, I should have told you guys too.
I was listening the last time when you guys were mentioning every time. If you get a con highlight, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, for a second I thought that at the beginning was Kingan's vision, and then I realized, no, he just doesn't know. It's a good call from Khan. And it also was one of those calls where even he, I think, is a little bit perplexed that they're going this deep, because he's not calling like, I'm going, fight this. Like, he's like, And then nice, really loudly.
Yeah, I think it was something they discussed, because, I mean, Pyosik was up there on vision for quite a while. I mean, it must have been like 10, 15 seconds. And Malrong had just based after a full clear, as Malrong is coming in. And actually, this is a fantastic bait. Solka will be able to get away, but they do get his flash. Kingan dropping down the ultimate here, the paranoia, as Pyosik is coming in. And just gonna go 1v1. Can he actually win, though, is the question. The slow comes in. Khan is thinking about it, but the flash now from Kingan. He's gonna hop the ward.
Malrong's here!
And Malrong, oh no, not again! The secret rumble from the jungle gets even more value. He's got 5 stacks on his Dark Seal 6 minutes into the game.
Oh, Malrong's not even flipping coins on this one. He's just always there to catch the aggression. He sees how aggressively DRX want to play around the top side of the map. He's hovering the top lane. Didn't even have 6. Just going to get a bunch of extra gold here once again.
Uh-oh. Soka doesn't have flash.
He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a
Wait,
hope
no,
for a prayer.
He does have flash, actually. That's my bad. He's totally fine.
Yeah, well, he also had, you know, the bot laners very close by. Didn't actually quite realize where they were in that moment. So he gets out, but I mean, these top exchanges are, I mean, Khan we're just like playing this extremely long extended trade now. Pyosik comes up, he scans, he knows there's no ward here, so Pyosik's like, okay, I got this. But Pyosik also doesn't have level 6.
Oh, here we go again. And guess who's here? This should not be a question. This should not be a surprise to anybody, especially Kingan, that Malrong is yet again in the top lane.
Malrong always comes up heads, Valdez, right now.
He's got the stacked deck right now. This is just not fair.
It's a one-sided coin. Oh, now he's got his Sork shoes, and he's 3-0-1. This is the champion he played both games in that match on Thursday against Afrika. I mean, he's just extremely well practiced on. He's been playing it a ton in solo queue too. Malrong is really just saying, I know that with this Diana Nocturne, you want to fight top, you want to be aggressive, and Khan just keeps baiting these out so successfully. It's starting to feel like a broken record a little bit here in this game.
Yeah. I mean, Malrong's just had great presence, and I think that just the top side of the map for DRX are getting really frustrated, and Khan's doing a fantastic job just baiting them in.
Oh, one more time? Can we get 3? I hear 3?
Kingan is, I think he's kind of figured it out by this time.
Yeah, there's also just a whole wave here that Khan's gonna have to catch, so.
Yeah. So Kingan does get out of there finally. And, I mean, they were getting in on those trades even when Khan was ahead. Obviously, the second bait was 2v1 for the majority of it, but Khan's been playing it really well, and DRX kind of banging their head against the wall. It's not working for them, as we're just having supports hanging out in the mid lane.
Yeah, which, you know, with Solka having backup here, I think he feels a lot more comfortable to straight up CS, and he's been doing quite well, so it ends up being a pretty big boon for him. The bottom side of the map, Bao is also, you know, just staying even in CS at the moment.
Yeah,
and he's going to even be able to, it looks like, catch this wave. I like the respect shown from Bao. You can see on the minimap here, question mark pings coming down. They know the vision was removed. There's a control ward here. And Bao is actually a great map read from Bao because, yes, they're potentially doing the Drake, but if they're not, he's dead. And he just backs off, stays safe. The Drake gets, you know, committed to, and he's got Becca to come back. It's still unfortunate, and he's still going to, you know, lose out quite a bit here and even give Showmaker a plate. But I'd rather see that sort of back off than, you know, some of the mistakes we've been seeing DRX make without vision. So good read there. You still lose out, but it could have been potentially worse.
Yeah. I also like Damwon Kia's response to the Rift take this time. They have the Rift Herald take, I should say. They had the priority on the bot side, and they just say, well, we can get the Dragon. Yeah. A little bit later. Malrong definitely in a better spot compared to the last game in terms of his position here, as guess what? Malrong's here again. This time he's in the mid lane, and he's going to get that ultimate away from Solka.
Question mark pings all over the place here. Few from Damwon Kia. Like, Khan is like, do you think Pyoshik's nearby? He's like, I'd like to get any information. I'll offer a reward for any information on Pyoshik because I want to get turret plates. Yeah.
Pyoshik has kind of just...
He's reverted back to just farming.
He's gone back into the turtle shell.
I mean, he started Nashor's Tooth. That is not very common right now. So, pretty interesting choice.
He's up here again. Maybe fourth time is the charm.
Better hope so. Malrong's
guess who's also here?
Yep.
I mean, I didn't even have to tell you guys. I think Jonas Strong could have kept it hidden as just kind of like a quiz for the viewers. Who do you think is in the top lane? Thankfully, DRX, they did not commit to that.
Nope.
So they will not be caught for the fourth time this game.
I just don't see a happy ending for DRX in this game, though. You know, they're down a Drake, and even with the Rift Herald pickup that they got, that amount of gold isn't going to, you know, who are they even going to give that gold to, first of all? I mean, I think Ezreal is who needs it the most right now, who's got the biggest opportunity to make a huge impact in this game. But you don't even necessarily get to make that choice because he's non-stop, not had prio really on the bottom side of the map. It's a really frustrating game to play as DRX because when you look at all the items and the builds coming through here for Damwon Kia, sure, they don't have the first item yet for Showmaker, but besides that, like, everything is going extremely smoothly. 7 stacks on the Dark Seal here for Malrong.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Like, how do you expect to turn any of these objective fights? You don't have control of the map. You're losing all lanes. I mean, yes, Viego is up right now 15 CS, but he's not able to make any pressure happen with that, so it's not like he's actually winning the lane.
Yeah, that's really the question you were asking, you know, where do you drop this Rift Herald at? I think you want to snowball your Viego harder and then hope that the team fights are really skirmishy, and then maybe Solka, who's hitting his Divine Thunder right now, maybe he just gets way too big and he's able to somehow carry from there. But as you mentioned, the question is, you know, they don't have a lot of control over the mid lane, so dropping the Rift Herald and trying to get plates isn't exactly going to be an easy feat. Yeah, maybe you drop it and you give the gold to Pyoshik.
This is a Rift Herald that might time out, you know, it might be one of those Rift Heralds just because all 3 lanes have such a, you know, distinct lack of control. That's okay, if you Haymaker that, Solka's ready to trade with you. But you know, the next Drake fight comes up in 90 seconds here, and Damwon Kia haven't even showcased what this composition is capable of in terms of those combos and synergy we talked about, and now they're ahead. So they're not even have to rely on that perfect synergy. They can rely on the numbers.
Khan's taking pretty aggressive trades. Knows that.
Because Malrong's here.
Yeah. Malrong's here, and he knows he's just pretty far ahead in terms of the item lead right now, as they actually do give that gold down over to Bao. And that's just saying, okay, let's play for a more stable late game with a fed Ezreal if we can. Khan just trying to tip away and get as much value as possible here. Kangan actually doing a nice job trading back. But guess, again, who is here?
Yeah.
It is Malrong.
They don't have vision that Malrong is here either, but you can see the danger pings coming down. It's like, no, stay away.
Even if they don't, it's like, okay, he must be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still here.
Still here. Now he's still in the proximity.
He's going to go to red buff and then Krugs and then go top. No, he didn't even do red buff.
Nope, still here.
He's spotted. They're like, wow, he's really still here.
It's funny
Oh, I thought he was going to go into the top brush. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
If you didn't know Malrong as a player, this would feel somewhat selfish. You would expect that the, more, like, I guess he's not a rookie by any means, but like the new player coming in, like the Damwon sub, would actually just kind of be playing fiddle for Khan here. But like, okay, Khan is just making him stay up there. He's doing whatever he says. But playstyle-wise, this is what Malrong likes to do. We saw it in the previous series against Afrika as well, where he hovered the bottom side, looked for any opportunity, and every time they baited trades, he was there to catch and ended up getting those kills. And it's paid off once again here in the second game in this series. And as the Drake spawns, like, you can see DRX just aren't even able to group for it. And look at the whole map. They aren't accomplishing anything counter-wise. They're just sitting here trying to hope the Bao is going to scale up, and I don't blame them, but it's like playing not to lose instead of playing to win, and I just don't know if there are any win conditions around this Drake fight when you don't have any prio on the map.
Infernal Soul
is
coming in. And, if they wanted to play the waiting game and say, hopefully Ezreal with 3 items can carry us, he has pretty good disengage. I mean, he's got the Alistar, so there's that, I suppose. And he has his shift, of course, for mobility to get away from the hard engage from DK. But I don't know. That seems like all eggs in one basket type of thinking, and it's hard, especially with the Infernal Soul on the map now. You can't really give away that to the side of DK, because then it doesn't really matter what you do. You're probably just going to lose.
I mean, in competitive League of Legends, sometimes there aren't good answers. Sometimes there aren't good plays. Sometimes you have to take the best of a bad situation. Sometimes you have to take the best of bad options.
You got to pull a gnome shit.
Yeah, and I mean, too recent. But in this case, they're able to get the Rift Herald. Actually, they had to commit a lot of resources to do so. You could see all the control wards they littered around that top river to try to prevent Damwon here from getting a punishing rotation in. But that's what the opportunities you have to take, unfortunately, for Damwon, or rather for DRX in this Damwon series. These D names have been really just messing with me tonight. But I look at the situation on the map, and it's kind of similar to DRX's lead last game for Damwon, where you're just kind of waiting for those objectives because your 5v5 fight is so strong. You don't even need to really start pulling Kingen apart anymore. You can just kind of group up 1-3-1 rather, and as soon as the next objective spawns, you group up there and you're going towards an Infernal Soul. You're win-win-win-win-win, right? Like, as long as you play like this and don't overextend, how do DRX get back into the game? There's no realistic option if you play this out right.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we haven't actually seen a proper team fight yet in this game. I mean, the only thing we've seen is Malrong camping top lane.
Sure.
And that's really tilting. And it's not the greatest feel for DRX right now, but, they still do have some tools where it's, we talked about some of their engage options in their composition, right? The Diana follow-up with a Alistar and then the Nocturne diving in.
This feels like a trap. Canyon is like ready to take this aggression.
Yeah, he's okay. Becca messed up the combo, and so there was no follow-up this time around.
I thought Khan was going to teleport in, but they don't have any wards actually behind DRX, so they're going to be able to get away with this. That was actually pretty high value out of that Rift Herald. Got a turret, a second charge, and there's no punish because of the lack of wards for Khan to teleport onto. That's why it's so annoying to have a side laning set, because if you feel like you can maybe collapse in on him, he buys so much time and then you get trapped, but they get away with it actually.
Yeah, totally fine. I mean, at the end of the day, they are just sitting back here with the Ezreal scaling up, and they're not that far behind in terms of the gold. It's about a bit over 1,000. Again, the real issue for me in my mind is that these Infernal Drake fights, I think, are going to be pretty difficult for DRX to win at this point right now.
I agree. Also, what you can't see in the gold graph, and what you can't see on the item screen, is that we know Damwon Kia, especially after watching that last game. I mean, the most recent performance of DRX in these 5v5 fights is Damwon Kia have an insanely good comp with a well-coordinated, well-oiled machine that is their roster. Whereas DRX, their comp is very difficult to pull off too, right? Like, they have some combos, they can turn out the lights with the Paranoia, look for a big Diana ultimate, but she's not really hit her big power spike just yet. She only has an Astra's Tooth, which is okay, but it's not great. But you can't carry the fight unless Viego gets a single kill, then you start to snowball that way. But when you think about all the ifs that kind of go into that scenario, that's the unseen reason that Damwon Kia are massively ahead. It's not the 700 gold or the 4 kills to 1 lead that we're talking about here. It's how these fights go. And that's where you just really have a lack of confidence in DRX right now.
Yeah. Also, the Mejai's purchase from Malrong.
Yeah, he just went all in on that one pretty early on.
He was same level with his laners. Really enjoying himself right now. Although Pyosik is definitely keeping up. He's been doing really well on the farm. After all of those attempts up on the top side, he really hasn't shown his face at all. He's like, okay, I'm just going to farm all my camps very efficiently. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to try to hit my spike eventually. This team fight is so important for both teams, I feel like. If DK can get this, I feel like they're really putting a nail in the coffin. But if DRX can fight back, I think there's absolutely a world in which they can come back.
This is a really big turning point potentially for DRX. Like, they have to win this fight. If they just give this up or get wiped in this fight, like, their chance of coming back in the game are almost 0.
Yeah.
Kingen on the long flank here. He's got Paranoia available, of course, to engage in.
Yeah,
they really want that combo.
Malrong, he's got a stopwatch. You know what that means. He's going to be feeling pretty good. Not much value on that Ezreal ultimate. True Shot Barrage not doing much. Khan is actually zoning away Kingen. This is best case scenario for DK. Big equalizer just to zone them away, and they're going to pick up that Drake. Nice little engage coming in, but immediately denied by the set as the Diana ultimate does get a lot of value. But now fighting front to back, and a massive kick comes in from Khan. And this is exactly what Damwon's comp is so good at doing. They get one engage, and everybody dives in and absolutely smashes them in that team fight.
I mean, you have a Kingen, right, a Nocturne getting zoned away by a champion that can re-engage into a fight super easily. At the same time, one of the worries in that moment is what if Kingen ults in while he's being pushed away? But if you have the perfect set follow-up here, as we saw from Canyon in the fight, you get a lot of time bought. Then you see Beryl come through, he's got a stopwatch, and this is just beautiful stuff. So, I mean, look at where Kingen is in this fight. He's not in it, right? He has to Paranoia in. He's being tracked. The engage is so late. Like, Becca comes in at the last possible second, and then Canyon saves the day, right? He dies, but Beryl has the follow-up pull-up. Look at where everybody is. And then Khan's like, yo, what's up? It's so easy to just follow up when you have this much coordination between your players, and when you have a set player who's willing to sacrifice in this moment everything just to get this turn on the team fight. You see Soka become set, but it's just like, well, you got a lot of stats from this one, but you're only delaying the inevitable.
야, 흥분하지 말고 칼퇴하고 집이나 가자. 휴가 마려.
He said, let's not take it slow. Let's finish this as soon as possible and go home.
Let's
get out of here ASAP.
We all know Showmaker's priorities. He's made that very clear. He's like, no, I don't want to do any interviews. I want to go home. It's really looking like a quick game number 2 here as well, with the lead that they get now. I mean, there's 23 stacks on the Mejai's now. That was the absolute best purchase Malrong could have gone for after getting this big of a lead in the early game.
You just don't get a team fight anymore as DRX, you know? Like, that was your last chance, and you waited until it was too late.
Becca might die here through his ultimate.
Yep,
that
like
is very breakable right now. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He's like, yeah, I'm Alistar, I should be fine. Nope. It's level 9 against a 25 stack Mejai's Rumble in this game.
Everyone's will is breakable.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes CC isn't enough, but the damage is. This is Damwon now just kind of getting a little bit of extra control over the map with the Baron buff they take after that Drake fight. And if DRX lose anybody else, they just win the game. Sub 25. And, I mean, I don't see how you don't lose anybody else and also defend your Nexus here. You're here to catch 22 problem.
They're ready to go. Like, they're not backing off.
Bye-bye.
This is what their comp does. Becca doesn't have his ultimate. Okay, Paranoia comes in, but it's... okay.
Cancel that one.
Quickest cancel I've seen on a Nocturne ultimate. That was real quick.
Not going to get a refund. A little bit too late on the cancel to get the, you know, money-back guarantee, but... it was enough to push them back. They only end up with one inhibitor here. 40 seconds left on the Baron buff. It's like we're going to see a reset and another group up. I mean, DRX, look at the map. There's nothing that belongs to them. They have some deep vision on the top side of the map, which is the least valuable place on this map with Baron, so far away. You can see this is just Becca getting caught here. Like you said, the Unbreakable will. Very breakable when there's this much damage. Look at how many minions are stacked up on this turret. The level advantage alone. This is so much better scaling. And although we're going to see DRX try to spring a trap here on live against Khan.
Yeah. I don't
see how
know.
This goes.
Do they win this? Well, the teleport they do, and actually just 2v1 they do.
With the fear too, there's no recourse.
Yeah.
No flash for Khan also.
Okay. So nicely done, I suppose. That's one way to try to make it back here. But again, the real problem is in 1 minute, and Khan is going to be available for that with TP. If he needs it, the Infernal Soul it's on the cards here.
Third item ends up being the Collector for Showmaker, which just is so great in these moments where you're just trying to push to end and you're this far ahead. As yeah, I mean, this is a trap sprung. They catch Khan. The timing of this for the Drake is, unfortunately just it's not quite thin enough. Khan's going to respawn with teleport too. They don't even get to, in the 5v4 control they would arguably have over the map, group on Drake because they still have to clear these waves that they're pushing towards their base. So yeah, I mean, you commit a lot of resources, you kill Khan, and oh no.
Yeah,
so Solka doesn't change his expression. I think that, if this game was closer, he'd probably feel a lot better, or a lot worse rather, about that.
Yeah, it's just one of those mistakes that you can't afford at this point in time. There's one team fight that matters, and it's this one, and now you don't have a stopwatch. Let's see how it goes. Equalizer comes in. That actually hits 0 people. I'm not sure it's going to matter, though. Canyon's kind of ulting into the Alistar, and that's not going to get much value. They get the Infernal Soul, but Damwon are like, I'm not sure about this one, actually. Trying to engage now is DRX. They're looking for the kill. Onto Canyon. Canyon is fighting back very well, but he does go down. Barrel now coming in, and that's a massive engage now. Have they actually been able to come back in this one? The answer maybe is no, but now Bao is getting in. He gets a massive shutdown, and DRX finally engaged somehow. And even though win the fight, I suppose.
Even though it feels like this is one of those late game team fights where suddenly, DRX wipe the map and actually are going to be able to, Kirby suck everything in and just take a huge advantage, right? Like, it feels like sometimes you see these late game fights in this meta where, okay, we won this fight, we can win the game or we can at least take control of the map. We're only 26 minutes in and they still lost the Drake. So this win in this team fight, it's great for morale. It's going to give you a lot of extra gold back. But at the end of the day, Damwon Kia can really just shrug this one off. The engage, like you said, was a little bit weak onto the Alistar, and then Becca's follow-up was fantastic. And Damwon Kia at this stage still feel like they have control over the fight because Barrel stopwatches, but Becca has that amazing knock-up here. The Pulverize is really good. The stopwatches are well-timed, even though Soka lost his before the fight. They win the fight, but they don't have enough members to really even push down and threaten inhibitors. Only 26 minutes into the game means those death timers are not actually that long, even with the level advantages coming through here for Damwon Kia. They respawn, they group up, and this couldn't have come, unfortunately, at a worse time. There's nothing really on the map that DRX can take. Baron only spawns now after Damwon Kia have already respawned, have already grouped up to take mid-prio. So you're going to need a few more miracles like that if you're hoping to go to a game 3.
Absolutely. Infernal Soul's still in their pockets, and I think they're just fine. A pretty sloppy team fight there from Damwon, but I don't think they're going to be too affected. They can just go back to controlling the map now.
Their wallets are still heavy,
Yep. Still feeling good about their bank account at the moment. And let's see how DRX play after winning a fight like that. Do we see any more confidence? Do we see them actually actively looking for plays here? Or do they still note that they're behind? They want to play it pretty slow. They don't have any vision around this Baron, so one step at a time.
Damwon are just waiting for DRX to take a sloppy engage. Canyon wrapping all the way around. Look at the vision control. He sweeps too to make sure nobody knows. There's no wards around there, so they know that's one path they can take out too once they take this Baron. And you can't criticize DRX for not swinging the trap or pulling.
Here comes Becca. They're going for the engage, and there it is. The Baron does go down. Teleport is used, and in goes King in. just trying to kite them out here a little bit, but now the engage coming out from Canyon, looking for this one. They do have a fake equalizer, and there it is, as Khan is able to set up the kill onto Pyosik. And that is going to be a 2-for-0, as well as the Baron in favor of Damwon.
You can't really criticize DRX for not, really pulling the trigger right and going into that fight straight away, because you know that you're going to get burst, you know you're going to get blown up so quickly. There were multiple moments where Pyosik could have actually popped his ultimate. He actually didn't use it in the fight, because by the time he could actually close the gap and get in to get the ultimate value, right, and actually maybe turn a fight, he was blown up and the fight was already over. Becca tried his best. I mean, it was a heroic attempt, but unfortunately, Damwon Kia are just so far ahead. You don't get any good fights in this game, DRX. You had the one miracle fight when Damwon messed up, but they're not going to mess up twice.
All right, well, Solka is pushing forward and threatening some damage. And Damwon, when you have a fight like that, everybody just says, Showmaker gets real mad because they're like, oh, this is going to delay us going home by 5 minutes.
Showmaker's like, I told you guys I want to finish this as soon as possible and get out of here.
Could have just ended the game if we just won that fight.
So Becca, Conan gets blocked on his engage potential. You see the Nocturne ult come through, and then King is like, ooh, I'm getting out of here. And look at where Pyosik is right now. He does not have flash, and he doesn't have his Q to look for the ult. So by the time he has an opportunity to use it, which is like right here, it doesn't matter. He's knocked up, and then he's just instantly deleted.
Yeah.
And those are the only things you have in this fight if you're DRX. And at this stage, when you're this far behind, if you use those tools, you die. If you don't use those tools, you lose a Baron. And it looks like Damwon Kia are just going to use the Elder Drake as their win condition to actually kill the Nexus.
Well, they're looking for this mid-turret first. Might as well. They're being a little bit safe about it. They don't have vision of that one brush right there south of them.
Look at the damage in this game. Bao is a lot. But
it was actually really annoying for Canyon to get away from. Felt like he was feared for like 5 seconds. As Bao has the most damage in the game by far.
He has the most damage, but unfortunately that hasn't really led to any kills, right? I mean, it has led to a few kills, but it's not led to great success in this game. His damage being that high just speaks to how good Damwon is as a unit, that damage is not effective enough to guarantee eliminations in team fights. It's actually one of the more frustrating things when you're in Ezreal and your damage is that high, but you're not fed. You're not actually carrying the game.
Yeah. Can feel, okay, Khan, not sure about this. Trying to face check a little bit. Now, he is baiting them into a corridor, which is really nice. That's a big follow-up, though, from Pyosik. Stopwatch is going to help Beryl, and Canyon's kind of in the middle of nowhere here, trying to follow up on Bao. But Bao gets some room. They're trying to get onto Bao, and finally they will. And that really was the main objective for them, as it's kind of a crazy womp of a fight in here. Solka's trying to go 1v2 now, as he may be able to do it with the Kaisa. He's trying to trade back, but
SGA, but it's not going to be enough anymore.
Yeah.
Malrong's damage is insane in this fight.
They're actually like kind of scared of him. They're like, I don't know.
I mean, that's Viego, right?
Once he misses the stun, it's like, okay, now he can go back in. So no more resets, and no resets in this game. Malrong and Canyon will march in and take the game down.
Yeah. Easy peasy at the end of the day to finish off the Nexus. There were a few heroic moments again, a few attempts for DRX. It felt like they were ready to absolutely engage and play a great game when they were behind, when it was too late. We needed to see some of those miracle engages and punishes earlier.
Hit the Nexus. We got an Ezreal available. If he can stop the minions, well, no, not quite. There were just too many super minions in there to get the job done.